And we are back. Welcome to another day of predictions for the Asian Cup and the African Cup of Nations. And when I sat here yesterday, I said to you that there was going to be an upset in the African Cup of Nations. I just didn't expect there to be three. Now, firstly, fair play to all of those teams for their performances yesterday. I said that Nigeria would struggle to win that opening game, and to be fair, they nearly lost. And then Mozambique, arguably robbed. As a Manchester United fan, I see Mohamed Salah score a 97th minute penalty, and I assume that there's been some sort of robbery somewhere. But Mozambique getting the 2-2 draw against Egypt, thanks to that Salah equaliser in the 90th minute. And then Cape Verde going and turning over Ghana. So fair play to all three of those teams, all causing big upsets to kick off the African Cup of Nations. Exactly what you want to see from a major international tournament. You want to see some upsets, and best believe I've actually predicted one or two today as well. So if you've enjoyed this series so far, if you've been enjoying the action so far in the African Cup of Nations and the Asian Cup, please let me know by dropping a like on this video and subscribing to the channel if you're new around here as well. We have been doing this every single day so far in both of these competitions, and we are going to continue to do so over the course of the month. Let's get into all of the action as we have 6 more games for you today. And as always, we will start off with the Asian Cup, this time starting with Indonesia taking on Iraq in the final game of Group D, I believe it is. Indonesia, unfortunately, just aren't that good of a side. Iraq, to be fair, aren't exactly the greatest side either. However, these two sides have been drawn in their World Cup qualification group as well as their Asian Cup group, and these two sides played just last month, and Iraq won 5-1 away in Indonesia. So now on neutral territory, I mean, I don't think we're all going to be too surprised to see a very similar scoreline. I'm not going to go for 5-1, no. I'm going to go for 4-1. On to the first of 2 games in Group E, and we start off with South Korea taking on Bahrain in what I believe is the earliest kickoff of the day, the 11:30 kickoff UK time. And look, everyone expects South Korea to do well in this tournament. To be fair, Bahrain are no pushovers. They've had some fairly good results recently if you actually look at their form. But against a side as strong as South Korea, I don't think anyone expects there to be an upset in this one. I'm going to be a little bit sensitive though. I'm going to go for a 3-1 win. I said sensitive, I meant sensible. I'm going to go for a 3-1 win to South Korea. I think I said we all expect South Korea to win. It's just going to be a case of how many. But Bahrain should put up somewhat of a fight. The final game of the day in terms of the Asian Cup is probably the most difficult to call. It's Malaysia taking on Jordan. And when you look at these two sides' form, it's really hard to actually form a judgment. These two sides haven't played each other for over 10 years, so you can't put head-to-head into the equation. Malaysia have been winning a lot recently. Jordan have been losing a lot recently. But when you actually look at the sides that they've been playing against, Malaysia have been playing against far easier sides and winning. Jordan have been playing against much harder sides and narrowly losing. So when you look at it like that, it's probably still Jordan that have to be considered the favourites for this. However, that winning mindset is something that's hard to get out of, as is that losing mindset. So I think that brings them a lot closer together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I really think this is a tough one to call. This is probably the toughest prediction of the entire day across the Asian Cup and the African Cup of Nations. So I am going to go for a draw. As always then, we then move from Qatar over to the Ivory Coast for 3 more games in the African Cup of Nations. And we're going to start today with Senegal taking on Gambia. The defending champions of the African Cup of Nations open their campaign today. And again, Gambia are no pushovers. They've got some fairly decent players that play in Europe. Senegal, of course, with their players that we recognise a lot more of, the likes of Sadio Mane, Edouard Mendy, and a few others. I think we would all expect them to win. The one thing I would say for Gambia is they don't tend to score a lot of goals, and Senegal are normally pretty good defensively. So with that said, I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to Senegal in today's AFCON opener. From there, we then move to Cameroon taking on Guinea. And this is where I'm going to go for my big upset. I'm actually going to go for a 2-1 win to Guinea. Now, the biggest thing that has to be said about this fixture is that Girassi, the Bundesliga Stuttgart striker, the one they signed from Rennes, one of the top scorers in the Bundesliga this season, being linked with the likes of Manchester United at the moment in this January transfer window, he has picked up an injury which will see him miss at least the entire group stage, possibly the entire tournament if he can't recover from it. So that's a huge, huge loss to Guinea. However, their form is still very, very good with or without him. And Cameroon are not on very good form themselves. Yes, they still have their few sort of relatively big names, the likes of Oh my God, I can't even remember his name now. Toto Akambi up front, but his form leaving Rennes as well, moving to Saudi Arabia, hasn't been the best either. So they're going to be struggling for goals up front, I think. And I just think Guinea are going to nick this one. We'll see. As I say, this is my big prediction. Cameroon will probably go into this game as the favourites, but I am going to go for a Guinea win in this one. And then finally, it is Algeria taking on Angola. Obviously, we all know about the likes of Riyad Mahrez and... oh, wow, there's so many for Algeria at the moment. I really rate their youngsters, Chaibi and Guri, that both were playing in Liga 1 last season. Now Guri playing in the Bundesliga. I just think Algeria are a very strong side. I don't quite know why not many people are talking about Algeria for this AFCON. Everyone seems to be talking about Senegal and Morocco and Egypt and Nigeria. And to be honest, I look at the Algeria team, and they're probably still my favourites for this competition. I think they've got so much talent in their squad at the moment. I think they're the side to watch going into this tournament overall. I think Angola are a fairly decent side as well. I just don't see them causing too many problems for Algeria today. I'm going to go for a 3-1 win for Algeria to round off today's predictions. And that will once again be it. As always, let me know all of your thoughts down in the comment section. It's going to be another interesting day of action across Asia and across Africa. I will be back, of course, the same time tomorrow morning where we'll do it all over again.